Hello, everybody. Whoa, oh, oh.
Welcome back to the Other Side Lifestyle Podcast with Jim and Aram. If you are one of the lucky 10 people to have the opportunity to buy a ticket to the Real Coaches Summit, now is your time. And as a reminder, you will pay for the whole seat, but you'll only sit on the edge. That's for Aram.
The edge of what? The edge of your chair?
The edge of the seat, yeah. Because you're so excited about what you're learning.
Like you're like dialed in, your face
like you're sitting on the edge, like what are they going to say next? Or because the meals were so healthy, you're trying to hold in a shit because you now are just clearing things out so well, you know.
It's a very fiber dense event.
Yeah, fiber and protein dense.
And caffeine.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, who are you? Why do you fly so much? Why do you go to Disney alone? And explain your hatred for John Goodman.
Wow. So, John, I'll start at the end of that. John Goodman is a colleague of mine and a great writer, great speaker. If you've heard him, he has a podcast and his most recent book. And in my notes today, I have a note about John Goodman. Don't give up on John Goodman, because I was reading his most recent book. It wasn't speaking to me. I put it down. I said, and I think this is the lesson that I took from it, was you're not always going to be spoken to by any book that you read, but don't be afraid to go back to it. This was, his book's been out for just about a month, and I literally was like, I'm not enjoying it. And I was like, you know what? All right. I mean, he shows up on my feed. He's good on social media, etc. And I gave it another shot, and I was like maybe, I don't know, 3-5 minutes into the listening today, I'm sitting on the plane, and I was like, oh, that's it. And so the one thing I got from today, there's more than that, but the one thing I got from today is why it's so important for training studios to really delineate who they train. For instance, Rick Mayo, over 40, that's his company. We train adults over 40. Like, it's really important because everyone else, doesn't matter what they do, right? So the obvious thing, his book is called The Obvious Choice. Nice little plug for John. But the lesson for me was make it so obvious who you serve, like, and what they're going to get when they come in, right? So that was my lesson. I don't love Disney World, to go back to your point. I do like all things Marvel. I do believe in Disney as a company. I've read the Disney books, the Bob Iger Ride of a Lifetime. I enjoyed it. And the Disney, that's a powerful universe, Marvel Cinematic. Right. And so I don't go there.
Who's your favorite Marvel character?
I think it was always Iron Man. Just, he was the first one, the first movie where you came out and you were like, the hero's journey, the underdog in a cave. You can kind of identify. You're like, this is me living in my parents' basement trying to make things, or like, trying to be creative. And then you come out literally guns blazing, fighting bad guys as a superhero, or as a trainer, however you identify. We have superhero, posters and stuff here. I think superheroes, for a lot of people, they allow you to put yourself in the shoes of that person who transforms. When you go to a gym, if you have that ability, this is why we're kind of an anti-phone gym. If you have your ability to put your phone down and to get present with the reason and the mentality why you're in the gym, why it's a blessing, why you should be grateful for your opportunity to be in the gym, then you can transform, become that superhero. So I think superheroes and the fitness industry kind of go hand in hand.
Why don't you look like a superhero?
Ooh, I've had my moments.
Do me a favor, back up so I can see your whole face and it doesn't look like you're giving the camera head.
Ooh,
there you go. More.
Okay, now get closer.
No, further.
Now back up. Now get closer.
Go
get
further
closer
because there is
then back up.
There is visual here, and we do want to see what Kevin Dineen kind of looks like in general.
Stand up, show us your abs or a nipple, whatever you prefer.
Something that actually shows us that you not only do you own gyms, but you actually utilize them yourself.
You're fine. I was gonna say, do you want to see the gym? We can give a gym tour.
No, it's okay. We know what the inside of a gym looks like. Isn't that where Jordan Syatt got his start?
Aram
Was it
knows
your
what the
gym?
inside of gym feels like. What?
Yeah. So now we've had a lot of great trainers come through. Mike Vicani, Jordan used to train here. During the pandemic, we had a lot. Ryan, we've really had a lot of people. Joey Persia. We've had a lot of events here too. Obviously, Mike Israetel, Brad Schoenfeld, New Yorkers. They held events here in the past. Um, Clifton Harsky, they do their certifications here. We have another certification coming up, I think, in May. Like we do them all the time. So yeah, there's been a lot of. I think a rising tide lifts all boats. The better the fitness industry is as a whole, however that is quantified, the more visible the fitness industry is as a whole, the more opportunities for people to get healthy. In addition, the more opportunities I think for, capitalism and as a gym owner, that's good. The more opportunities for trainers and gym owners.
What do you think the biggest problem is? I just saw a thing how, we blame big pharma for a lot, and I'm not a fan at all, and what their industry is worth, but then the fitness industry is worth significantly more than that. So what does that say about us? Was basically the, I guess, the prompt or the
The
narrative
fitness
or
industry
something.
is worth more than the
The fit,
pharmaceutical industry.
the fitness. Now, obviously, this can encompass anything that has to do with fitness. It could be, you take gyms, you take supplements. You don't know what that entails. How much money is spent for coaches, for trainers. You have, all the high school athletes, college. You just don't know where they're getting those numbers from.
Oh, okay.
You
I was
know,
gonna
you know
say
what I'm saying? It seems
that seems like a
strange,
stretch.
but it
Yeah.
was. But you got to figure worldwide. I mean, pharmaceutical companies are huge here, not as
Hmm.
big in other countries. But fitness could still be in all countries, So you don't know where those numbers are coming from. But
Yeah.
if we have, because I think we're all saying the same thing. Like, if we can just spread this and have more fitness, what's the problem? Why are we still getting worse, and why are people still not getting to this place that they want to get to?
I like the quote. Humans are mistakenly believing constantly that they are works of art that are finished.
Mm.
Right. And so I think so many times, and Gary Vee is adamant about this, but like if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, some people are saying, well, it's too late at all of those places. And I literally trained an 82-year-old yesterday who golfs 3 times a week, and she's not done. And she said, well, I just like to be able to golf and hit the ball a little bit farther and stop losing out to my friends. She's not done, right? And she's still moving and still witty and still about herself because of the choices that she's made and because she's not part of the other pharmaceutical world. We went over the medications and she's like, no, I'm good. Okay. All right. 82 years old. So I think that the choices you make, in your 30s, 40s set you up for your 50s, 60s. But even then, right, even if you, like I just got my Merrick Health, shameful plug for Merrick Health, but I just got my Merrick Health blood test back, and it's just a switch. Like once you get that feedback, which some people don't want, by the way. I'm a feedback monster. Like I ask for feedback around you, and I talk all the time about conferences, about what are you doing. Like I don't, if I go a day without some sort of feedback, I think that's why working out for so many of us is almost like that dosage of feedback, and like it's just a mechanism to be like, man, you suck today, or like get your shit together, like however you want to phrase it. But in the fitness industry itself, how do we package that? Because the pills that they sell, like you're going back to pharmacy, et cetera, and big pharma, um, they, they're look at all the colors they use on their marketing. Look at the positivity, the smiling people that they put, right? And then you look at some of the marketing for gyms, et cetera, and it's not positive and light colors and friendly people. So it's
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
like
it's a
the
weird,
grind.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and like Pukey the clown over at CrossFit. It's like
Yeah.
what what? Like I don't want to puke in my workout. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No,
it's
that's
a
a good point.
unfortunately, I think in general there's more access to information now, and there's more access to places where you can get in shape now than ever. And it's not. I mean, shit, you can get a Planet Fitness membership and go to every location in the country for $20 a month. So it's not a cost problem. I just think that we still are, and this is something you can weigh in at. You've been in this industry for shit, how many years now? 20?
Yeah, I mean, I started my degree in 2001, started in the field in 2005.
Yeah. So
So
what have you seen change? Like what? Because gym membership and utilization is up. More nutrition information is accessible to your average person now than ever. But why are we still fighting an obesity epidemic, and why are people still bitching about losing fat and not being able to do it?
I think there's a couple reasons. I'll start with the community one. I think it is very difficult to to flounder if you're in a community where everyone else is swimming. Like if everyone else is moving and making moves and doing good things, it's very difficult to go the other way. It just is. So if you can get yourself and you're struggling, right, or trying to find an answer, and you're struggling and you've struggled to find the answer over 3, 5, 10 years, and I've just, well, weightlifting doesn't work for me. Well, maybe the environment that you were in, the community that you were in, wasn't right for you, right? And a lot of times I think that people will walk into a gym and they can be intimidated. You talk about Planet Fitness, that can still be intimidating, right, for a lot of people.
Oh,
That's why I
yeah.
go back to the John Goodman, like the obvious choice. Make it obvious, so obvious for that person. The second thing I think is when you look at the information age, right? It's, well, if we said that, let's just take a power lifter. If you looked at an actual power lifter's workout, right, and said, all right, the actual workout, bench, squat, deadlift, and then maybe 2 or 3 accessory exercises, we could all agree that if everybody did that, that would be better than nothing. But still, some people will say, well, that's not right for me. Okay, but can you lateralize that? Can you jump to the other side and say, well, what could you do? What can you learn from that? And most people won't take that extra step despite having access to all this information. So, the simple things that do work, right? Like Mark Ripeto's book was for many people a foundational, and it is still foundational to many people, even though you and I, like most people could agree that barbells aren't the answer for most people, right? Heavy dumbbells, let's get dumbbells, let's get cables, let's get landmines, let's get some fun stuff, kettlebells, and let's progress those and then make them personalized. But I think the second thing is that a lot of times people, well, that's it, and they confuse the simplicity of the tasks to be accomplished and say that, well, I'll get to it, right? And or the simplicity well, I can't remember the phrase, but the simplicity belies the intensity of the activity performed. So I think that's the two biggest things is that the community for most people that they're in, it's not conducive. What's interesting is we had we had a corporate wellness contract here in the city, and one of the reasons that they did the corporate wellness contract, you ready for this? Because happy hour was more expensive than personal training.
I believe that.
So they were paying us for a private coach to train up to 10 people at a time, right? Not in a personal individualized workout, but they had like a group class for that company, and it was cheaper. They could bring instead of going to happy hour, they would bring them here, then they'd hang out. Freaking brilliant, right?
I mean, yeah.
But
What do you
that's
think? What do you
forward
think?
thinking.
What do you think? Taking 10 people out at the bar in Manhattan costs versus taking 10 people to a gym and having one trainer do a semi-private session. But
100%.
but the problem, Kevin, is not that like, companies can afford this shit. People can afford this shit. This isn't a matter of price. Like, I'm sorry. You could talk about food deserts and income inequality and all this other horse shit at the end of the day. It just comes down to I just either don't know where to start. I failed multiple times and can't put a finger on why. Or I just, every time something breaks in my life, I freak the fuck out and I can't be an adult about it.
I think you're right. The accessibility is it's there, right? Like they can't make gyms any cheaper. They could try, but they literally can't make them any cheaper. So what do? I think it's sort of simple but complicated. The best way I can put it is come with me.
Do you
Like
think?
literally.
Do you think we're just in such? Because as you're saying all this stuff, I'm just thinking about all the reasons. Like even you saying weightlifting doesn't work for me. It's such a weird statement, because it's like we know it does work for you.
Yeah.
You didn't do it long enough, or you expected a different result for some reason. It's like it didn't work for me. Did you get any stronger? Yeah, a little bit. So then it did work for you, idiot. but we have this immediate gratification. But do you think we're just too distracted now? Like, it's just so easy to sit around and scroll Netflix and your phone, and it makes it harder to leave. Like, if I force my kid to be bored, he's not allowed on a device. He finds shit to do real quick outside. He's out shooting hoops, doing this or that. Do you think just adults? Because, I mean, I feel like we're always saying the same thing with people aren't willing to put the work in and all that. I don't know. This just thought came into my mind. Are we just too easily distracted that we don't want to do anything?
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's a great question. One of the questions I ask when people start is I just ask them quite simply. I'm like, when are you at your best, in the morning or in the evening? And do you want to work out and spend time in that zone of genius, like surrounding that zone of genius, and make it even more powerful? Or do you want to work on the other side? And a lot of them, I think that it's interesting. Some of the type A's will take on the challenge and say, I'm already a morning person. I wake up and I already have stuff to do. So I have to work out at night. It's the only time I have. On the flip side, so they're making time for it. On the flip side, there's some people that say, well, I'm never going to work out at 5 o'clock, so I might as well just force myself to get up. So I think it depends on the mindset there. But I do like that question of where are we going wrong? Is it just setting expectations? Is social media our superheroes setting expectations for people so that they think it is in 6 months, it's easy to build pecs like Chris Evans and, become like Thor? Like, is it our fault as an industry for only putting out those people and clicking on those people that are doing their workouts shirtless, right? Maybe following those people that are shirtless. Like, it's capitalism in another sense. We're feeding the machine,
You know what's been pissing me off lately? I was thinking about last night. I started getting fired up.
This will be good.
I'm fucking so tired. I'm going to make a post. I'm so tired of these male coaches dressing up as women, mocking women for falling for the things that were marketed to them in fitness fads and nutrition fads that were probably made by men to almost convince you, well, you're not an idiot and you don't fall for that, so that's why you should hire me. Like, you're just, I don't know. It's just driving me nuts, the men that are dressing up as women, mocking women for believing things that are pushed down their throat. I don't know. I don't know if there was a question there. It's just bothering me for some reason.
Yeah, but
like, if you want to dress up like a woman, just go dress up like a woman. You don't have to come up with the excuse of making fun of women.
I think just what Kevin said is this is a self-sustaining machine at this point, whether it's social media, whether it's television media. We are the ones who tell it what to tell us. That's the unfortunate truth is every single time you get on your phone or you have a preference on Netflix, these companies are learning your behaviors and you're dictating to them what they're going to show you. And then every content creator or person on Instagram then has to figure out how to be able to placate to that audience. And whatever it takes is what they're going to do, whether it's going to be putting on a wig and doing what Jared Hamilton does in a very effective way, mind you, or it's what Joey Munoz does and he calls out other influencers for saying bullshit. There's a million and one ways to get attention. And the problem is we're all fighting for these eyeballs every single day, but the eyeballs want sensational bullshit. They don't want to see a 3-minute video of me talking about bioenergetics or talking about digestion in a very contextful way. They want to see the quick hit bullshit that they don't want to have to think about because they don't really want to learn. If they wanted to learn, they have access to all that stuff at their fingertips. They have it. It's all right there. All you got, I mean, shit. You spend enough time on ChatGPT, and you can basically prompt this thing with textbooks and other PDF documents to have it teach you everything you want to know at any point of your life. But that takes time and intention, just like prepping your meals takes time and intention. Just like understanding how to use Instacart when you travel takes time and intention. But when people aren't exposed to the right type of messaging because they're telling it what they don't want to see, well, then creators like me and you, Jimmy, are going to get pushed down to the bottom, and more of the idiots that are fucking flashy and what people want from a popularity standpoint are going to be the ones who stand out. So we can't blame the industry as much as we have to blame the consumer to some degree.
Yeah, but it's like the industry. I feel like just show up as what things are instead. you can spread your message without bringing up sometimes like the other stuff, like just keep showing up as you, authentically as you versus I don't know what it is. Did you guys know about Chat GPT now? You can hit the little headphone button and have a conversation.
No.
Yeah. So let's ask Chat GPT a question. Kevin, do you have a question that you'd like to ask Chat GPT?
What is wrong with the fitness industry?
What is wrong with the fitness industry?
A lot, honestly. The mainstream fitness industry tends to focus too much on aesthetics, quick fixes, and extreme approaches rather than true health and longevity. It pushes unrealistic body standards, encourages over-reliance on supplements, and often ignores the deeper aspects of well-being, like mental, emotional, and spiritual health. It also tends to be hyper-commercialized, making people feel like they need expensive programs, gadgets, or trendy diets to get results. Plus, it often lacks an understanding of holistic movement and the importance of things like breath work, nervous system regulation, and intuitive training. From your perspective as a shamanic holistic fitness guru, what do you think is the biggest problem?
I don't know. What do you think?
I get it. There's a lot to unpack. Are you wondering how I can pinpoint the core issues or how I can help shift the perspective on fitness?
I want you to solve all world problems through fitness.
That's a bold vision.
And it'll keep going. And then it gives you like the script, like
Dude, that's
the words.
Because what she said or it said
is
or
exactly what we were just talking about.
She's nailed it. So basically, anything that you need as a consumer of this information or as a consumer that's searching for answers for these problems that you've identified or have not identified, whatever you want to call it, it's so abundantly clear that we don't have an information problem. But I think like she hit it nail on the head. This is more about holistic, mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being than it ever has been about sets, reps, macros, and calories.
Even more so now, we're just getting more and more fucked up.
Dude, I mean, I had a woman today fucking reached out to me in January when I offered I'll calculate your macros for free. 25 people jumped into the pool, right? They're like, yeah, I need my macros. I said, by the way, so you understand, these macros are not your answer. They're not. Like, go ahead and follow them and good luck with them, but you don't have a coach, you don't have guidance, you don't have accountability, you don't have a feedback loop or a system. These are just numbers for you to have targets to fall within a certain line of nutrition. Fast forward 3 months now, it's March. She weighed 147 pounds in January when she reached out to me. She was 154 pounds today. I said, how the fuck did you gain 7 pounds in 3 months? And she's like, well, I wasn't really doing what you said, and I had a lot of problems constructing. So I'm like, okay, so you don't have a macro problem. You have a lack of routine, and you have a lack of accountability, and you have a lack of systems. So why do you think that another dieting phase, which she kept repeating over and over on the call, is going to be your fucking answer to your problem? She's like, well, I have to lose X amount of weight by X day in June. I said, why? Why? She's like, well, I'm not happy. I said, well, why are you not happy? And then all of a sudden,
because your macros made her gain 7 pounds, Aram.
No, because she didn't.
Maybe if Kevin gave her some macros.
Kevin, whether it's Kevin or you or me, or if Jesus gave her macros, it wouldn't make a fucking difference. And the whole point of this entire conversation is that we don't have a macro information, gym utilization access problem. None of this matters. Like, we can talk about this till we're blue in the face. What it comes down to is that people are entering into these protocols late in life without habits built, with a sense of urgency that's been built by years of mounting frustration, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, however you want to call it, and they've never actually looked themselves in the mirror and asked themselves, what was my role in this problem? Where did I go wrong? At what point did I not catch something that I should have caught? And this is why professionals like you and I, Kevin, are going to fucking go broke trying to host these events, to try to get these coaches to come to these things, learn, and understand better ways to serve our population, when at the end of the day, the population doesn't even want to be served anymore. They just want to be fucking told what to do as fast as humanly possible, arrive at their destination quicker than ever. And we've taught them that by putting out this bullshit content.
I think there's a lot to unpack there, but one of the things, and I got a lot of books back here, but this one, I don't know, somebody must have
For
pulled
those
this
of
one out.
you,
Actually,
just listening, they are organized by color.
they are, and they can see that too, Jim. They don't have to listen. I guess I guess
If somebody's,
sorry. God, this
if
is a
somebody's
podcast.
listening.
You're right. I'm an idiot. So take this book for instance, right? This is what I think a lot of the she kind of talked about it, the Chat GPT, but this is by Robert Lustig. Okay, now Robert Lustig has gone
Yeah.
at length to battle and to blame, right? To blame via the research that he's doing, him and his compadres are doing. I mean, this cover is actually like, it used to be white. It is so old. This information in this book is so old. And yet people want to believe this information, but they also want to have something to blame. And so to your point, Aram, I think this is powerful, is like, eventually you do have to look in the mirror and like my most transformative years as a trainer, where when I went from 3 years, my first 3 years at Equinox, and I was like, I'm training next to, pardon, like these are nice people, right? Nice individuals, but there was 2 squat racks in the gym, okay? And they went up to 90s for the dumbbells, and I'm working out with a 4-year degree next to people that would show up hungover, wouldn't program, wouldn't warm up their clients. They'd spend 10 minutes stretching them, 10 minutes warming them up on anything of cardio, and they had no principles, and I was being paid the same. So I had to take the hard look in the mirror and be like, I can't do this anymore. I talk about the beginning about the environment that you, right, that you surround yourself in. And so then I had to leave, create my own environment, right? And then find some sort of mentorship, et cetera. It took me 3 years, 3 long years to find mentorship. It was Plummer, it was Mayo, it was Durkin, it was the Cosgroves. All of them really had to like, at times, no joke, either put their arms around me and be like, what are you doing? Or like, but that's the hard truth. And it hurt to hear that. Right. And so I think a lot of times people either want to have the blame, or so they're going to always blame and not deal with that, or they're going to avoid the mentorship or the coaching because they don't want someone to be like, what are you doing? And it's going to hurt, and they're going to have to confront the truth. They're going to have to, you can't be upset with the results that you didn't get for the work you didn't do.
That's it. I mean, it's literally, it
Right.
keeps coming back to the same theme for me. And the longer I spend in this industry, the more I'm going to keep getting callous towards this, because it's not like I'm seeing unique problems. I'm not in functional health. I'm not reading GI maps or blood labs every day. So I'm not seeing unique snowflake like issues that people think they have, which at the end of the day, you don't have a hormone problem. It's not a metabolism issue. It's got nothing to do with your genetics. It's got everything to do with the choices you've made that have been cumulative from the point you started breathing and understanding life to the point you're at now. And that's all it is. You're just the result of those decisions over a period of time. And and I always tell people, like, whenever I sign up clients, I tell them, like, I'm going to give you best practices and I'm going to hold your hand as much as I possibly can when you need it. But at some point, you have to learn how to fly on your own to some degree, and you have to also be responsible for the choices that you make. Just like I was responsible for the choices that I made. I could have been a fucking fall down drunk alcoholic like my fucking uncle, brother, and father. I could have taken the easy road out and fucking stayed in a 9 to 5 and just collected a paycheck and rotted into my chair like half the people out there. But I made choices, and those choices were hard. And those choices were fucking debilitating at some point, to where you didn't know if you were going to recover, if you were going to afford how to live. But at no point in time did I ever say, I'm just going to eat everything in sight and sit on my ass and wait for the problem to get fixed. But unfortunately, people still deal with emotional eating issues. They're still emotionally reactive to problems in their life, and they don't deal with their traumas and their demons. So none of this comes down to the fact that they don't know that carbs are okay in reason, and cookies can be eaten every once in a while, and pizza's not a bad food, and alcohol can be consumed in moderation. That's not the problem. Anybody with half a fucking brain cell understands that. But why are they not practicing it? That's what I want to understand. And if we can ever crack that code, we'll be fucking trillionaires tomorrow.
I think the point that you're hitting on is that the stories we tell ourselves and we convince ourselves eventually either are true, right? And we live them out, or like that superhero thought process from before, we shed, right? We shed that behavior, that persona, and we start to craft a new identity. And I'm going to go back to this community for a second because I think this is still powerful.
Yeah.
And you're in a more in the online platform, but I'm going to say this from a community and a brick and mortar standpoint. Brick and mortar, and a welcoming brick and mortar of any level, whether it's a coffee shop, whether it's a Home Depot, right? I heard something powerful from Home Depot. You know, one of they used to have secret shoppers that would go into Home Depots. And if an employee didn't ask, what are you working on? And instead they asked, can I help you find anything? They got in trouble.
What a
Because
difference
those
in
are
that
two.
question.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. And so it was a great book, by the way. It was an easy read, Home Depot book. But I think so many people within the fitness industry, they get all, clogged up into, are we doing this wrong? I'm gonna go back to the community and say like literally, I'll tell people, like, I have a appointment only facility, but I'll tell people, come in on the other days. I want you to come in. I want to see what else you're doing. Right. So they get the gym and the training. It's all one bundle. Right. And when they do come in, I'll say, what are you working on? And they'll, oh, this is the video I saw you doing. Well, that's you're pretty close. Can I show you the better way? Yeah. Of course. Boom. A little bit of extra value. And it's not that they're paying for that. And it's not that I'm asking to be paid for that. Or I'm like going out on some limb to say, like, this is the best place in the world. But being in that environment where you're going to get that coaching, I go back to that. You're going to get that coaching. You're going to surround yourselves with others. It's very difficult. A lot of these sports organizations, they talk about their breakthrough years. It wasn't like the superstar. It's usually not the superstar. It's usually not the most paid, the highest paid quarterback that wins the Super Bowls. It's really not. There's talent everywhere. It's this teamwork that they talk about. And I don't know. I think the one of the simpler solutions is to find yourself in the same place where other people like you are doing things that you want to do. And hopefully successfully,
That's huge.
So,
And even around, as you were saying everything, I think it's easy for coaches, and this was part of our conversation, like being frustrated with things in the industry. But like you said, Kevin, the stories you tell yourself, and we all live in our own reality. You can just not pay attention to all those people, Aram, that are not following the macros. And be like, oh, you didn't do it. And then just focusing on the people that are looking for your services. And like, Kevin, you could sit outside and get all mad at everybody that's not joining your gym. This is ridiculous. You guys are walking by my place every day and you're not joining? Like, this is absurd. What the fuck can I do differently? Versus we focus on the people. Yeah. And like kicking their fast food out of their hand. They're like, get it together. What's wrong with you? So it's like, I think we have that responsibility too, just in our own lives or as coaches, to not allow ourselves to live in that reality of the people that aren't there. We can still speak to them, all that, but we can't mess our own mental health up because the people walking by your gym and aren't signing up. Like, just pay attention to the people that are signing up.
It's
just
hard.
Like we ask clients to pay attention to blah, blah, blah.
The hard part is not internalizing it and taking it personally when you understand how simple the solution truly is. And, I find myself as a professional that's been in this business now for 15 years. I have periods of time where I absolutely adore what I do and love this industry and love everybody and have very positive, pleasant days. And then there's days where the frustration just mounts. And like any other career or job, you're just like, why the fuck am I doing this? And why do I keep bothering to try?
But is it what you're looking at online? Let's see your Explore page right now.
It's all food. It's all food porn. I look at nothing but food porn.
For real?
Yeah, I look at like pizza.
Just pictures of food?
Yeah, like nasty fucking like pizza burgers, shit like that.
Are they wearing like ball gags and stuff? The sandwiches? Okay.
Just
when you said nasty food, I was like,
no, just shit that I indulge on whenever I feel like it. But that's all it is, and it's just, and that's the thing is my disposition can certainly be affected by the conversations I have and the things that I'm exposed to in my direct messenger every single day, because I do get a lot of frustrated people towards me, and you have to absorb that energy to some degree. Like, we eat energy all day long as coaches and trainers. It's part of our fucking job description, unfortunately. But we keep showing up, because if we stop, we have a responsibility not only to the industry but to our audience. Because if we stop, we give other people permission to also stop trying, and that's when the entire foundation breaks and collapses completely, and everybody's fucked. So I want to switch gears, Kevin, for a second, because you're also a selfless event host like I am. Why did you start hosting events for people in the fitness industry?
It's gonna sound repetitive, but I originally started going to events because somebody asked me, somebody who was very successful, was a client, and we had lunch one day, and he said, "What's next for you?" And I was like, "What do you mean?"
What are
He
you
goes,
working on?
Yeah, he goes, and I was confused. I was like, lunch? After lunch? What are we talking about? He's like, no, what's next in your career? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, well, do you guys have conferences or seminars or anything? And I was like, okay. So like, this was back when I had a singular wireless phone. Like, I had to go to a computer and like, hey, can I use your computer? Can I look up seminars and conferences for a personal trainer? Looked them up, started going to conferences and seminars. I took notes. I didn't introduce myself to a soul. The first one I went to was in Long Beach in California in 2008. I think I was there for 2 days. I flew in, flew out, didn't meet a soul. Like I was there to take notes and to get my CEUs. Flash forward to the fitness summit in 2013, and I had been to a couple other seminars. I think the other one that was really, really cool, Perform Better, had one called the Meeting of the Minds. It was awesome. And it was like a really like intimate environment. I don't think there's more than like 75 attendees, and there was like 15 presenters. So it was a very intimate. It was out in Phoenix at what was the resort? Anyways, so I went to the fitness summit and I sat in the back and was taking notes, and I was all ready to like learn, and just I was like, man, this is expensive. This was probably $1,800 for me. This was year one of my gym. Okay, so my big New York gym, like I was taking time off, and it was like I did not feel good about taking time off. I did not feel good about the cost, so I was there to learn. I started talking to um, a couple people and getting to know a couple people, and everyone was really friendly. I was like, wow, this is different. And then I started also noticing, but also getting annoyed that like there were people in the back talking too. Like some of the presenters were talking to other presenters and like attendees, and then the speakers were talking. And then so I was like, I don't know what's going on here. This is like a community. Like, what is going on? I kept going back to the fitness summit, and since then I've hosted multiple events. One of the guys I ended up talking to in the back of that room was one of the co-owners of Cressy Performance, Pete Dupuy, who's now he speaks all the time. He's in the business for unicorns. Obviously, the Cressy sports performance speaks for itself. And I think for me, events are always this just like you get so close to the people that have done exactly what you've done, who suffered the exact same things that you've done, and the mistakes that you've made. And so when you go to events like this, it's like that. It's like I said before, you're in the room with people doing what you do and or doing things a lot of times better or at a higher level. So at the very minimal, you're learning and like just picking low hanging fruit of like, gosh, that was easy. I didn't realize about that. Like one of them had you ever heard of CD Now? Do you remember that company? So CD Now had this really cool marketing where they would say this CD has been prepared for by the gods for your enjoyment and placed upon a pillow. Like, and so for our workouts, we have I got this from one of the presenters. They I can't even remember which seminar, but that's our greeting. And I have so many people that message me after they sign up, and they're like, "That's so funny. It literally made me laugh out loud." Because I said, your workout has been, deviously prepared for, and I lie awake at night thinking of ways to torture you. This came from a seminar, right? But that, like how we train people, I have people that have been in the industry for 10 years, trainers, and they don't know the difference between a Roth IRA, a SEP IRA, and a 401k, which is why I encourage them not to learn those. But when their client says, "What's an RDL again?" I'm like, guy, so you can just put yourself in the shoes of your client. Your client works 75 hours a week. You've never worked more than 30. Just because you eat out of Tupperware doesn't mean you got, and you have six pack and you've always had a six pack doesn't mean your client who is the CEO of insert, we have so many CEOs here. And I think that the conferences for me have always just been opening up one more door of learning, whether it's to watch other people, to give other people platforms so that they can eventually speak and then, do great things. When we did it in 2023, it was really kind of coming out of the pandemic. So a lot of people were like, this is the first time I've been at an event. I'm so excited to be here. Right. So it was that opportunity. We did a fitness business one just for fitness and business. And we had it here in New York. And that was so expensive around, but it was so fun because we spent 2 days with Joe Coleman and her mastermind. And then Saul was here. Pete was here. Mark Fisher was here. And then there's a bunch of other people that I'm just going to forget right now, but they were all here in the room and it was like 30 of us. And it was fast and it was furious. I had some of my CEOs that had like 9-figure exits that were talking talking into these 20, 25 people, CEOs of international organizations talking to these people. So I think it's a amazing opportunity to share the environment. I think that personal training and the business of fitness is which is the business of change. And when you get in the gym, it's tough to think of anything else other than the RDL. And like, why can't my client remember the deadlift? I'm going to make another video telling them about the deadlift. But it's like, listen, they really don't care. If their back doesn't hurt, right? They care. If it's easier to pick up the dog, they care. If it's easier to do other things around the house, whatever, they care. But they don't care necessarily about the 2 hours a week that they're going to look at a barbell and be like, how much weight did I do last time? Like, fine. Like, they're here. They're yours. They're paying you 100, sometimes 200 here in New York, sometimes $300 an hour or more. Like, I think personal trainers have the most remarkable ability to change someone's hour, to change someone's day, to change someone's week, to change someone's month, and eventually life. Like, so many people, right, they get lost in the weeds on this. And look, I find myself oftentimes like looking at a book like this and I'm like, Lustig, you suck. Why are you arguing about this? Like, help people. Like, this doesn't help people. This puts blame on something. That's like saying deadlift chance. Deadlifts hurt lower back. That's going in the track. But like, deadlifts don't hurt people's back. People don't ask for help, right? And like, fat isn't the problem. Like, it's the same theme. So, yeah, that was a very long answer to your very short question.
That
But
was
I
great.
love events. I think events are the lifeblood of our industry. I think getting people together from various communities, various client avatars. Some people are under 40, some people are over 40. Well, I was at Raise the Bar and they raised their hand. They said, what industry are you? He goes, whiskey drinkers. What?
Oh, I know that kid. Yeah.
Whiskey drinkers? Yeah, I train whiskey drinkers. Okay. Never heard of that in 25 years, but there they were. So I think fitness events are absolutely amazing. And also you sometimes need that change of scenery. You need to sit ideally on the aisle because of cosmic radiation, but going back to the travel. But if you sit on a window seat, you need to sit and look down and look at the clouds and get that 35,000 foot view for once in your life instead of a 3x5 foot view or 3x5 inch view. And think and breathe and say, what am I grateful for? What clients am I grateful for? Have I told them that? Have I told my colleagues that I'm grateful for them? Have I told Aram what a wonderful event he's about to put on? What the struggles have meant that he's gone through? This is for you, Aram. But what the struggles have meant for him to go through in order. This is like the industry stands on the shoulders of giants. The lifeblood of the industry. These events that we put on. They're usually just like those personal training results. It's pulling a horse through mud at first, but then they pick up steam because people realize, wow, that was cool. Oh, those were great speakers. Or Aram does a great event. Or Raise the Bar was great. Or Ali does a great event. Like, once people realize that being in that environment and being in that networking community, I'm going to go back to that. How many times am I going to say community? ChatGPT is going to tell us.
She's been
But
listening the whole time. She's taking notes for me.
the whole time, it's actually incredible.
Just kidding.
And
She's not.
And yeah, I mean, and you can combine travel, right? This is the tax deductible way that you can combine travel. One more story from the fitness summit, because I forgot. I was really stressed about finances before that fitness summit. Okay. So I went there and you know who Molly Galbraith is?
Yeah.
So I went there and we ended up talking with Molly, and I can't remember the topic of conversation, but so we ended up talking about, I think she was in Lexington at the time, and that I was telling her on the Upper East Side, and she knew Mark Fisher, and then she knew me, but those were the only two really gym owners that she knew in New York. And she said, "Well, I have a friend moving." This was like 3 or 4 days later. Now the conference itself was $1,800. Okay, so 1,800 for the plane, the hotel, the travel, the transport back and forth, the food, and then the actual ticket. So it was, and then not even including the cost I had to pay employees to cover my shifts when I'm at the event. So I was super stressed about money. So let's say Wednesday or Thursday, I get an email intro from her to her friend, and it said, "Hey, my friend's looking to get some personal training. I'm gonna let you two take it from here." He joins for 3 times a week, which at the time was $900 a month. Okay, now we do small group personal training. It's usually more expensive, but I digress. But $900, and he stayed for almost 3 years. And the question, the follow-up question is, um, what if you don't go to these events and learn what is being done, learn who the up and coming stars are, learn about these community events and how important community and brick and mortar and your network is your, whether it's small business owners, if you're a brick and mortar gym owner, whether it's small business owners as online coaches, like you were just hanging out with Ryan and Kev, right? So I think when you get in the more siloed we are, like as individuals, I'm talking big picture thinking. Like, does a carpenter only work with other carpenters? No, they have to learn how to build a house, but also to speak to everybody else. You still have to communicate to others. You can't just be a carpenter, and like you have to do other things. There's a lot of building in my neighborhood. So I think it's just a remarkable mindset to walk into an event and to say, I want to learn something, but I also want to meet people. I think you did it last year with the name tags. Big name tag guy, big name tag guy. Oh, cool. I see where you're from. Awesome. Name tags are a must for me because that's the first thing the hardest thing usually, Mackenzie or whatever. I like that name. Where are you from? Like, boom. It just takes the guesswork out of it and makes life easier. I don't know if you're doing name tags again, but I would recommend it.
I am. I have to actually
Why
do
can't
that.
you screen print everybody's name on their shirt for them? So just
Mm.
250 custom made shirts with our names, like Coach Jim.
That's very Vegas.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I'm going to go above and beyond. I'm going to have a scannable
Yeah.
QR code again.
Yeah,
Oh
but
yeah,
just
that was cool too.
print that on
Yeah.
the shirt for me.
Just for you? Yeah. Let me just
Bring-
let me just upend everything I have to do for the next 3 weeks. To
You
make sure
could
that-
you could make little iron-ons for everybody, and then when they go back to their room, they iron it on. It's the name tag.
Or a
Dude,
patch. Are you gonna
I've
do a
already,
patch?
Patch.
I've already fucking nixed the idea of giving hats away this year because I just looked at the cost of that, and that was
What about a patch?
I could probably get patches, but I don't know. It's
You've spent enough.
the event space is anybody that's brave enough to take on
Silverback.
the event space, like the way Ali does it, the way you do it, the way that Luca does it, and even Andrew, like this year, Andrew Coates said he's not going to be doing Evolve,
Mm-hmm.
and Luca does his event, Vigor once every 2 years. It's hard to get asses in seats. It's hard to get people to respect and appreciate what the ROI is that may not be financial or immediate. And it's such a parallel between the way that our clients think about fat loss and results versus the way that fitness professionals think about events. It's the same exact problem. It's like, well, why should I go? What's in it for me? The question is not why should you go? The question is, what are you going to miss by not going? The same way that a client comes to you and says, well, I can't afford to pay you. Well, you can't afford to not pay me anymore because you've done it the wrong way.
And it's like, what kind of results can I expect? Or just do it and see what kind of results you get.
Exactly. As opposed to you tell me.
Show up to the conference and find out.
Yeah, like show up
See
and
what
find out.
happens.
Do the work, prep your food for a little while, and figure
See
it the
what
fuck
happens.
out. Go to the gym and see what happens. Do it consistently and see what happens, as opposed to, I can't even start until I know what the ROI is or until I know what the expected outcome is going to be. Follow the process first. Like, you have to lay the brick down and take those initial steps to get any of this stuff figured out. And the amount of, like, even like what Kevin was saying about money, guys, we live in America. This is not a hard place to earn a living doing fucking something. And if you have to supplement your income, so be it. You'll be able to figure it out. And if you plan on being in this industry for more than the next year, these are things that are essential to your personal development and growth. And I
Well,
attribute shit. I would say 70 to 80% of my success came from the fact that I would have been nowhere unless I went to events, and I would have been trying to piecemeal this shit together myself. And between all the stuff of having to actually serve clients, take care of your own shit, your own health and wellness, your own people in your life, without being able to see through the lens of people that are fucked up already and that are 5 steps ahead of you, I would not be where I'm at today. The same reason why people should hire us as coaches, we've seen the problems that you have. We know the problems you're going to have, and we can help see around those corners for you that you can't even anticipate. And that's where that short sighted thinking, whether it's results driven or results based or outcome based versus process based, is what holds anybody back from making any progress.
well, like Kevin
I
said
think
too
that
in his story, like how many times you're gonna have to hear about the universe providing for you by showing up and doing things? You know what I mean? If you're listening or if you're thinking about going, you're not homeless. The universe is provided for you in every way. You know, show up to show up in life. I'm not talking about just showing up to conferences. Like fuck Aram's conference, it sucks. But, but Kevin, you were gonna say.
I just think, Aram, your point is so true. And I think there's that certain loss aversion, like what will we lose if we don't go? I'm gonna stick with the what would it look like if you stayed back and two of your trainers, let's say we had 100 person, like some of these Lifetime Fitnesses and Equinox Fitnesses, they have 50 to 100 trainers. Okay. If for 2 years straight, there was two trainers, let's say it was you and I, Aram, and we went to conferences. Okay. And we went 3 times a year. Would it be obvious to the people in that gym, to the members in that gym, to the other personal training clients? Would it be obvious to the people who are watching training happen on a very, very large training floor with a ton of training equipment, paying a lot of money for personal training, not on social media, but in real life? Would it be obvious who went to the conferences?
Without a doubt.
So that's kind of where I go back to, is like, make it make, what's that book? Make yourself so good they can't ignore you. Like John's book is called The Obvious Choice. Like it's sometimes that obvious when like Brett calls himself the glute guy, right? It's like, well, if you're going to, train for a figure competitor and you need a bigger butt, there's only really one guy that you're going to go to, right? Because it's obvious. It's just that, right? But in the same token, like for personal trainers that don't have the 25 years experience that Brett or we do, what are you going to do? How are you going to distinguish yourself? And I think when you I actually heard this. It was on the Real Coaches, I think, thread where somebody was asking their clients. This was brilliant. What would you like me to take away from this conference for you? I thought
Yeah.
it was brilliant. It was really engaging, and like I usually do a recap for them anyways, but not on social media. I just send them a newsletter of like, here's my big take homes from these events, people that I met. Here's people that I think you should follow, and I just thought it was a wonderful phrasing of reminding the client, right? Talking about two different things here, but reminding the client that it is their best interest, even though they're missing a workout, right? Or two, right? Because somebody's going to a conference. But the difference in the trainer, right? If you sent, this is so silly, but if you sent a chef, okay, let's say you had a massive restaurant and you sent one or two of your chefs off to chefs, a chef weekend, a chef school, culinary school, whatever, 3 times a year and came back, what would happen to that restaurant over the next 6 to 12 months? Would that restaurant be more efficient, more productive, etc.? Yeah. Wouldn't that food be probably better? Probably sourcing better ingredients, et cetera. Like the parallels are many, but I think the biggest take home is that so many people think that, wow, well, like, yeah, it costs a lot, or it's going to cost time, energy, money, whatever. And it's actually, I like the fact that it's not, 5 days. If I had to go to a 5-day conference, I'd be like, nope, no, not a chance. No, um, there's options, right? There's options at every time block. Um, yeah, so I'm really, really big on the, like, you will stand out if you constantly value education, continuous education. If you're constantly learning and not just internalizing it, but surrounding yourself with other people who are learning, other people who are going to conferences and value continuous learning, like yourself, like Jim, the host of this great podcast. I think it's yeah. surround yourself with the people that either you want to be or people that, are already doing the things that you want to do.
And folks, I hope that message also resonates when it comes to curating your environment at home with the
Yeah.
people that you spend time with, the people you hang out with, the people that you communicate with, the friends you have, the social engagements you say yes to. All of this stuff shapes your ability to comply to some semblance of a plan. And it allows you to see what other people are doing whose shoes you want to be in. Like, I could very much go back and hang out with the people I grew up with, but that's going to take me backwards because those people have never left. Their lives have never changed. They are not in positions that I want to be in. So I don't want to associate with those people. Am I going to turn my back on them and shit talk them and say they fucking suck? No. But I'm not going to also expend my energy to go in that direction anymore. I had a great thing that happened today. A woman texted me and said, over the weekend, a friend of mine who I've had for 20 years, I finally realized I have to break free from because she spent all weekend blacked out drunk trying to get me to do the same shit that she was doing. And I realized that that was not a place I wanted to be anymore and not a person who I wanted to be anymore. And that realization alone was worth all of the time spent with me, talking to me about the things that she should be changing in her life. And she finally arrived at a destination that made sense for her, which is this is a person and this is an environment that I don't want to be in anymore because it doesn't serve my greater good and it doesn't serve my goals or it doesn't serve my progress. And I think that's the greatest message about this is the environment that you're in. When you walk into a room at a conference, when you walk into a gym that has people that are trying to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, if you surround yourself with like-minded, forward-thinking, process-based individuals, you can't lose even if you tried to, because all of these people are going to tirelessly try to lift you up because other people have lifted them up in their hardest times.
100%. Well said.
Kevin, when's the next conference you're hosting?
So I am hosting the St. Louis Fitness Conference. That's July 9th through 11th. We have kind of two distinct tracks. If somebody is more like in their phase of their career where they want to learn by doing, right? This was probably me in my first phase. I wanted to learn. I wanted to move. I took the kettlebell certification. I did all the speed and agility stuff. Then that was a big part of my first couple years here in New York City. That's the first day. That's a VIP day. We have awesome coaches, awesome speakers, physical therapists, and it'll be literally dress in gym clothes, 20 people max, and we're just going to my gym in St. Louis. And it's just going to be, we have every toy you can imagine, every piece of equipment. So, mainly from the free weight side, so squat rack, et cetera. And then the next 2 days will be kind of more seminar learning. That's actually going to be at my golf club in St. Louis. And I think that'll be unique too, because in addition to the name tags, we're going to do two events, one after the VIP, but a welcome event for the regular. And then on Thursday night as well. There's actually, I just spoke to him the other day. He got awarded the best ribs in the United States. And he belongs to my club. And I said, hey, do you do private events? And he was like, yeah, what are you thinking? And I was like, well, so hoping to make a deal with him and get him to cook us some ribs. But like I said, about the community, that's one of the other things that I'm going to try to, like, we have great speakers, not the question. We're going to have great swag bags, great sponsors, LMNT and Perform Better. That the people won't remember the RDL, the deadlift. They're not going to necessarily remember the world-class speaker that they saw this past weekend, but the messages that they take home about community, about the change that they can make, the beacon that they can become, the lighthouse, how they can guide those troubled ships to shore. Wow, where is this coming from? And but yeah, it'll be a real unique opportunity for you to be in that room, right? The room where it happens.
And anybody listening, they actually get a free VIP ticket to that event. So just reach out to Kevin and let him know.
If they make it this far, they get the free VIP.
That you found out about the event through this episode, and he'll let you come for free.
Boy, that's great.
To the VIP day. So we appreciate that for our listeners. It's always nice of our guests to do that for people. They know that that's not true. They know my sarcasm at this point. That sounds like so. You own a golf club and gym out in St. Louis.
Gym, yes. Golf club, no. I'm just saying at the club I belong to.
Okay,
yeah.
I thought you were saying it's like I was like, damn, this dude just fucking owns a golf club.
No.
St. Louis.
That would be
okay.
That would be fun.
Gotcha.
But no, not yet.
One day.
Not yet. How about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd
I
be a
live
fun
down the
project.
street from Trump's golf course in Jersey, so
Oh,
I'll
yeah?
let you know if there's a for sale sign outside one day. You could buy
It's
that.
coming.
That's funny.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll be at the Music City Fitness Expo in Nashville May 30th and 31st, and then I will most likely be attending the St. Louis Fitness Summit as well, because it's interesting that a lot of these events are now starting to happen in the summertime, which is kind of cool. What's is it muggy in St. Louis in the summertime?
It really depends. There will be from Memorial Day to Labor Day, 50 days over 90 degrees. But like sometimes you're going to get 90 and 90, like, stupid. It's just stupid. You can't really be outside. But a lot of times it's dry heat and you can be outside. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I'll usually golf. Yeah.
hopefully
If,
July
if I'm
9th
not
through
golfing,
11th
it's
it'll be
bad.
nice and dry.
Yes. Agreed.
And plus we'll
Yeah,
be inside. Who gives a fuck?
exactly.
That's
So
the
we
end of
might try to
July.
do a Cardinals game too on that Friday night. So get a Cardinals sweep or
You're
something like
getting a
that.
little ambitious, Kevin. Let's try to stick it. Let's try to.
I
The
know.
more
Just stick with
the
ribs.
thing I've learned is the more you try to do, the less it works out. Do less.
Do less. Do less.
Do less.
I like
Hey,
that.
and maybe when you're on your website talking about your event, tell people what's included. That way, I don't have to ask you.
That's true. We have updated it since we last spoke.
Good. I love how I give this very, very decorated, experienced professional advice when I fucking know nothing and I'm on year 3 of acquiring another loss, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, shut up.
But
Shut
Kevin,
up.
I appreciate your time, man. You're one of my favorite people in this industry, and quickly turned into that because you're like a golden retriever. You're hard to love. You're hard not to love, rather. And and it so happens that Kevin actually has a golden retriever.
Also true.
So I think
But
that's a
it's
perfect alignment of dog to owner, which typically the dog and the owner kind of look alike, and that's definitely the case with Kevin and his dog.
it is
And
true.
he's one of the most authentic and nicest people in this industry. So if you don't follow Kevin Dineen, you should. And if you're a coach listening to this, you get your ass to that St. Louis Fitness Summit in July, because I'll be there. And if you're not there, you're basically set up to fail and fuck this up and not be a coach in the next year.
What are the
And
dates again? July what?
9th through the
July
11th.
9th through the 11th. It's a Wednesday through Friday.
Nice.
So yeah, I appreciate you
Nice.
both. And Aram, it's mutual. I mean, I think the way that you conduct yourself, both of it and the standards that you set from an event standpoint are difficult for people to reach, if I'm being honest. Like you've done a great job with your event, and it was a great experience last year. I was actually a little under the weather, but I was still like, I was with it enough to be like, yep, this is a good event. So yeah.
Thanks,
And
man.
obviously the podcast is how many episodes in?
Shit.
Almost 170.
So yeah, you guys are crushing it. So
Yeah.
good work.
Thanks, man. It was nice meeting you. And I guess so. You'll be at RCS this year at the Real Coach
Yes.
Summit this year. All right,
Yep.
cool. Yeah, so maybe this
I'll be
time
there.
we'll get to meet and say hi to each other.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right, brother. Well, thank you, Kevin. We like to ask all of our guests one final question,
Uh-oh.
so that we can compare and judge you
Mhm.
to all of our other guests. Are you ready?
Or what's next? Last time I
for the
thought it was
question.
what's after, like the question. What's next?
Are you ready for the question that we ask
Sure.
all of
Yeah,
our
let's
guests
go.
to compare and judge
Let's
you to our other guests? All
Let's
right.
go.
We will see you at the Real Coaches Summit. Bye.